What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm gonna explain you how to get more power, more performance out of your Brixton by doing some modifications to your exhaust system. I did a lot of things to my exhaust system. I changed out the heat trap, I changed out the exhaust, and I put in an exhaust silencer. Now I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know and what I know, what modifications I did and what happened when I did them. Before I want to continue with this video, there is still the Q&A. If you have a question for me, type in Q&A and then your question on your favorite platform. You get a free shout out at the end of the year at the final video. So if you want a free shout out, think of a question, put it down below in the comments section or DM me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want, and then you get your free shout out at the end of the year. Now let's continue with the video, the exhaust performance video. I see a lot of things on the internet when it comes to performance, changing up and getting more speed and more power, and sometimes it's pretty cringeworthy to see what people think. When I was younger, I also thought that that was the stuff you need to do. What I'm talking about is the main thing I see on the internet is, well, put on a different exhaust, a open exhaust, put in a new air filter, more air means more power and all that stuff. It's more than you think. You don't slap on a new air filter, a better air filter, and you gain much horsepower. You don't put on a bigger exhaust, get more power and more speed. No, you have to know how the engine works and what you need to achieve to get power. Now in this video I'm going to explain you the modifications that I did. I did the heat trap, the exhaust and the exhaust silencer. Now first up, let's talk about the heat trap. I made two videos about this. I made a video when I painted the exhaust. I removed the old wrap and repainted it just to protect it against the weather and rust and everything like that before I put on the new heat trap. Because I painted it with a high temperature paint, that you should do, you have to heat the exhaust up to 300 degrees or something like that for half an hour. So what I did, I rode the bike to let the paint cure. And I discovered some things when doing that, and that you will need exhaust wrap on your Brixton. Now when you look at the Brixton without the exhaust wrap and paint it all black, it looks pretty nice. It puts the bike all together and all black and all that stuff, and I liked it. But there was one problem: performance went way down when I removed the exhaust wrap. So when I was riding around and I noticed that I lost performance on my bike without the heat wrap, I did some research and I found out why. Now what is the difference between exhaust wrap and no exhaust wrap? You have to see the exhaust wrap like an insulator of your exhaust pipe. It keeps the heat in. Now why would you want to keep the heat in your exhaust pipe? Hot air moves faster than cold air. Think of a hot air balloon. The air rises because it is lighter than cold air. The air can move much more quicker through your exhaust pipe and outside of the atmosphere. When you don't have heat wrap, the air moves slower. Now this doesn't affect much performance, but when you take all the steps that I did, it will make sense. If you want performance, you have to keep on the heat wrap and maybe even replace it with a better quality heat wrap. Now let's get on with the next part that I did, the exhaust. I changed up the exhaust to an open exhaust. Now what happens when you do that? The air can move much more freely through your exhaust pipe. This means you get an acceleration boost, but you lose top speed and power. Now let me explain you why this happens. I'm gonna take my board and let me draw a simple, I'm not the best drawer. So this is my drawing. As you can see, this is our piston, this is our cylinder head, our exhaust pipe and our exhaust tip. Now I changed out this part, the exhaust, because the old exhaust was much more smaller of an exit. It was a little bit like this, much more smaller. What happens when you have a open exhaust. The exhaust gases flow much more quicker to the atmosphere. And here is your exhaust valves, and here is your inlet valve, like this. Now the piston is at the explosion point. Right here is the explosion. Your exhaust valve opens up and your exhaust gases flow out. Now what happens when the exhaust is open and free? The exhaust gas moves much more quicker than normally with the stock exhaust. So what happens? All the exhaust gas goes away, and if you have a fast flowing exhaust, then you create a vacuum inside your cylinder, and when your inlet valve opens and your fuel mixture comes in, because you have a negative pressure in here, some of the fuel goes out in your exhaust system. Now this happens fairly quickly, but that is what backfire is. And in most of my videos I complained about the backfire. It's cool backfire, but you see what's happening. So if you have fuel that goes into your exhaust system, you maybe have 80% of fuel in your cylinder head. That means 80% power. So this is what happens when you have your exhaust wrap with your high temperature air inside your exhaust and your open exhaust. That is why you lose power when you do this modification. Now the third mod that I did, I put in a silencer. Here is my silencer. Now what happens when you put in a silencer? Everything goes the same. You have your explosion, your exhaust valve opens, your exhaust gases go out into your tube, into your exhaust. Oh, restriction. Your silencer restricts the airflow. So what happens? It bounces back this way. And I'm talking about milliseconds. While your exhaust gas is bouncing back and the negative pressure, the vacuum pressure that was here, is no longer here, because it doesn't create a vacuum, because the pulsation of the explosion bounces back, and before your cylinder head is filled up with new fresh fuel, the pulsation goes back, no fuel can go inside the exhaust, it closes up, and then you have 100% pure new fuel inside your cylinder head, and you get 100% power and acceleration and speed. So that is why I put on new exhaust wrap, put on a better flowing exhaust, and I put in a silencer. Now let's recap what is happening. Because we have a free flowing exhaust, we gain acceleration. We build up speed more and we build it up much more faster. The exhaust wrap makes sure our exhaust gases are hot enough so they can free flow much more better. The silencer prevents a vacuum being created inside the cylinder head, so we don't lose fuel inside of our exhaust system, and we have 100% power and not 80. So as you can see, there's much more to it than just slapping on a new exhaust tip and gaining power. You have to know how it works, and yeah, that's what I'm here for. That's why I do these tests, and I rode along with stock exhaust, new heat wrap, no heat wrap, new exhaust, open exhaust, and silencer. And this is the best combinations that you can have. If you eliminate one of them, it's all over. Remove the heat wrap, your air is not hot enough, your gases will not free flow enough. Remove the silencer, you will get gasoline in your exhaust pipe, creating backfire, losing power. You put on the stock exhaust, you will be restricted from the exit hole of your exhaust, not getting enough acceleration. So a big explanation, this is what I worked on for like a whole year, testing out, buying new parts, getting the information inside my head, the right mind state and what I want to do with the bike. Pretty amazing if you look at it, that so much stuff can happen when you remove or add something to your exhaust. Many people think, oh, I'm gonna slap on a new exhaust, hey, I'm gonna gain more power. But if you look at it, it is much harder than it looks, and you appreciate the research that goes in when manufacturers make a new bike. I try to explain it the best way I can. I know it can be tricky. You have to know how the engine works and how exhaust flow goes and temperatures and pulsation and all that stuff. But yeah, hope you learned something. Hope you can get more power and more acceleration out of your bike. My bike is now at the perfect amount of flow and less backfire, pretty much no backfire. Sometimes it will go off, but not like it used to when it's fired every 5 minutes. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram. Subscribe to the channel to see more videos about the Brixton. Also, if you have a question for the Q&A, type in Q&A and then your question to get a free shout out in the end of the year video. And yeah, see you in the next one.